Welcome to Decades of Horror in the 1970s.
Death is the keeper of secrets.
This is episode 137, recorded April 7th, 2021.
Gruesome Magazine.
Hello once again. I am Doc Rotten, and this podcast is about horror movies released between 1970 and 1979. Each episode, my co-host Jeff Mohr and I will take a look at another classic or not so classic film from this wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. This one's a toss-up. All right, joining me this week is my co-host Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I watched my Night of the Lepus Blu-ray last week.
Oh
my God. He's so proud of that thing.
He's been talking about nothing else.
It's excellent. It's excellent.
Night of the Lepus. Dear God. All right, also joining us tonight is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, and all-around nice guy. How you doing, sir?
I'm nice, but I'm not nice enough to ever use the word excellent with Night of the Lepus. But Jeff's so excited about it, I want to revisit it now. He's just giddy as a schoolgirl.
See, there's the trap.
It's on Shudder. It's on Shudder.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Also joining us is Chad Hunt, comic artist and co-host Decades of Horror, the classic era and 80s. How you doing, sir?
I feel like a filthy whore.
Don't run into a saw.
Oh my God. Tonight, we are reviewing Torso from 1973. If you know anything about the film, you know where that's coming from and you know what we're in store for. I did not going into this. Wow, that was interesting. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this film. We're going to talk about when we first saw it, and then we're going to talk about the film and then wrap things up, and then we have some feedback at the end. But let's introduce the film before we get into things. It is Torso, which I thought was an 80s film. I must be confusing it with something else.
It feels like an 80s film.
But it isn't. It was made in 1973, released in the States in 1975, May 21st. Directed by Sergio Martino, written by Sergio and Ernesto Gastaldi. And then the cast includes Suzy, Kendall, Tina Aumont, Luc Merenda, John Richardson, Roberto Bisacco, Ernesto Colli, Angela Covello, Carla Bray, Christina Arolde, Patricia Aggiatori. Yes, tagline is "Death is the best keepers of secrets." Also, if you look at the poster, enter, if you dare, the bizarre world of the psychosexual mind.
Ooh, sex.
No, thank you.
Synopsis is a string of appalling lust murders.
Ooh.
Shocks the University of Perugia as a sadistic serial killer strangles to death beautiful college girls with a red and black scarf.
Or is it a black and red scarf? I was never really clear.
It's got the black and it's got the red.
Hey, Luigi.
Ooh, we're gonna get some feedback on this one. I can tell.
Man, put your pronunciation guides to the Italian names in the comments below.
Yeah, I think I did better than usual on that, but
okay, yeah.
Maybe
I was amazed how many you listed. Yeah,
maybe I was like, oh my God, maybe that's wishful thinking, but
I would have stopped at John Richardson and the rest.
Suzy Kendall, we can do Suzy Kendall.
Yeah. And the rest.
All right. So let's talk about when we first saw this film and what was our first impression. Jeff Mohr, I would like for you to go first, sir.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was Bill's pick. So this is now I'm not by any measure of the word. I'm not by any measure of the word an expert on Giallo, but there seem to be a lot of Giallo tropes here. We got your killer with black gloves, and he wears a mask, or at least when he's not wearing a mask. We don't know if he's wearing a mask all the time, but a lot of times we can't see his face anyway. There are red herrings galore. We have psychological damage as a youth and dolls that we poke the eyes out on.
Yep.
So anyway, the first like 2/3 of this just seemed rather pedestrian to me. We're just like kind of running around killing people. We don't know what the connections are. We're getting introduced to more characters. And then we end up with 4 of the women on a weekend holiday, I think, in this remote villa. And once the killer shows up there, it kind of ramps up. And I thought it was pretty good then. I mean, I was all tensed up. I was kind of, going along. And then I really enjoyed the third act.
Yeah. Well, a good third act will save a film. Was this the first time you saw it this week? Or
it was.
Okay.
It is. The first time I saw it.
Interesting. All right. Let's go with Chad next. We're going to say Bill for last because Bill's got a lot of explaining to do. Chad.
Explaining.
We like
some mansplaining.
No.
I don't know if it's mansplaining, but regular splaining.
No. Bill's splaining. So Chad.
Yes, sir.
When did you first see this film, and what was your first impression?
I've seen bits and pieces of this over the years, and usually when I would sit down to watch it, my parents would smack the crap out of me for watching soft porn movies.
Yep.
What they thought was that at the time. So this is actually the first time I've sat down and watched the whole thing through, and those smacks I got were definitely well deserved. This movie, first of all, I'm not a fan of Giallo. I'm just not, with the exception of the Argento stuff. And this movie always, hearing about it and reading about it always made me mad that people said, "Oh, this is the beginnings of the slasher film," and that kind of thing, which I think you can't convince me that Bava didn't do that with Bay of Blood. He really did that as far as the 80s slashers and stuff like that. So, but I don't know, man. The first hour of this was just, I was kicking myself in the arse to get through. But then the last half hour of it really had some good stuff. The vendor, the street vendor guy that sold the scarves that got smashed into the wall by the car. Good stuff. I have to admit, and some good kills in there and stuff like that. So you're sort of waiting a whole hour to get to a really good third part of the film. And I don't know if that's enough to make me want to ever watch it again in its entirety. But I just had a tough time. I had a tough time with this one.
Tough time. I can understand. All right, Bill Mulligan, sir. Torso was your pick.
It was my pick. Yeah, I mean that first hour, it's just breast. Exhausting. I nearly took my finger off the slow motion button. Now, okay, so the reason, and the first time I saw this, the first time I saw this was last week. Although I feel like I'd seen it because, so this is one of my favorite trailers. The Torso trailer, the 30-second Torso trailer. Dig it up on YouTube and watch it because it is just so over the top. It's got this crazy fuzz guitar from Alan Parker, and it's basically just the narrator go into the mind of the psychosexual killer Torso, and then they show a scene. Torso, fuzz guitar, Torso. And they keep yelling Torso at you over and over again, and you're just like, so what's the name of this movie again? And finally, Torso.
The guy that narrated the trailer is the guy that does the tractor pull commercial.
Sunday. Funny cars. And then they throw in, which is just hysterical with everything else you're seeing, from the people who brought you Dr. Zhivago. Torso! And like, wow, that's yeah. So now having finally watched it, the first hour is kind of a long burn, really soft core, lots of nudity. The occasional kill, but you know, but it's mostly just one excuse to get a bunch of models take their tops off. Very well shot. And then there's the flip, and it is in the last third. Suddenly, this movie comes alive with a scene that I feel like was inspired by the Richard Speck murders, where you have the situation. You know, it's basically been picking these girls off one at a time. Now we got a bunch of them, because if there's a serial killer and you're a hot woman, the thing to do is to get together with a bunch of other hot women and go to a deserted villa in the middle of nowhere where your screams will not be heard. Good plan. And she wakes up and he's, you know, spoiler alert, he's killed everyone. She's in a house with all her friends dead and he's there, but he doesn't know that she was ever there. So that's just creepy. She's got to stay quiet. She wants to scream her lungs out, but the killer's there. He's dismembering the bodies. This is some pretty tense stuff. Is he going to find out that she's there? Are we ever going to find out who the killer is? Because the one thing we're sure of is that the 20 plus people who have been shown to be definite suspects are not the killer. Jeff listed pretty much all the Giallo things it had, but two others is maybe you mentioned red herrings galore and the most useless cops ever. Nipples on a bull are more useful than cops in a Giallo movie. They're just nothing. They
and a yellow poster. I don't know if that goes with the Giallo or not, but
usually
not many yellow posters out there.
I mean, this movie surprised me. I felt like when I was watching this, it's like, I think I should be seeing Crystal when we talk about this movie, because this feels like an 80s movie. It 100% feels like an 80s movie, and yet it's actually early 70s. So yeah, give it some credit for kind of jump starting, you know, Giallo and slasher. It's got those things. Was it really influential? I don't know. I know Eli Roth says it was a big favorite of his, but I don't know how many of them. Yeah, you know, those guys, did they see it when it came out, or did they see it when it was on video? Because it was in a lot of video stores. I remember seeing it on video stores. Yeah. I just always thought it was just a piece of crap gore flick, like an H.G. Lewis kind of thing. So but it's pretty stylistic. It's well shot. You know, even if you get bored with, you know, naked women, may God have mercy on your soul. They're very well shot, well lit. There's some good angles. You know, it's made by a filmmaker who you know is competent. So I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. I just sort of picked it as a giggle, but I enjoyed it a bit. It's not my favorite. It's not even in my, you know, top 5 Giallo movies, but I think you know, worth a shot. Worth a shot. Go in with low expectations, and you know, if your wife is a hardcore feminist, she might not really enjoy watching this, or maybe she will. Who knows? You know, whatever.
Get all fired up.
Yeah.
So for me, this was a movie that, one, I thought it was an 80s film going into it. You know, I was like, why are we doing it? Realizing, this is a 73 film, and it came out. You know, okay, all right, let's do it. Have seen a lot of Giallo films in the past few years, especially as Arrow's been releasing a lot of them, and they're more and more available as streaming becomes more and more of a thing, and they seem to be almost a dime a dozen on every streaming service out there. And there are some really, really good ones, even ones that I hadn't heard. I mean, many of them I hadn't heard of, but the ones I had heard of with Argento, are good ones. Really finding a new appreciation for the genre, which was something probably when I saw this VHS in the shop, I was not a fan. Get Blood Splatter Bride and get tainted for life. And so we picked it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to do this. And I quickly found myself liking it. The whole thing. The first 10 minutes, I was a little baffled, like, what the hell is this? Are we watching Cinemax? What's going on? But eventually it settles into a real story. You get introduced to a lot of characters. People start dying, and they get their abdomens cut or the throats cut, or they get, eyes poked out. There's all kinds of really gory stuff, especially for, 73. It's a brutal little film, and found myself really enjoying it. I'm enjoying even the characters, even our leads, because there's many leads. and they pull like spoilers. They pull like a late game psycho switch on you with who you're following, and I found that interesting. And I did see quite a few things in here like, wow, okay, we've seen that again and again. So I found myself when I was done rather surprised that I enjoyed the hell out of this, and I think it's better than all of you are giving it credit for. Mostly because of how well it's shot. It is, the cinematography in this is really strong. And the locations are fun. Some of them are silly. Some of them are, it's just, I was marveling at like, how do they drive through that little wherever circle thing they're in without hitting everybody that's walking out in front of them? There's so much.
I know, right?
Well, who cares if they do? Those people are all creepy.
But it was so strange. You start getting introduced to everybody's a suspect. I mean, everybody's a suspect. Even family members are suspects. Peeking out behind the door. God, that's gross. So when the third act comes, you guys are absolutely. What was that? You guys are right. It's absolutely sold that the film really gets tense in the third act when we get down to the last three, the last girl, and it becomes kind of painfully obvious who it is at that point because everybody else is dead.
That's the
There's
process
really
of elimination.
There's really only two people left, maybe three, and the third one isn't. So process of
and you
elimination.
start thinking to yourself, who's the only actor that actually I know in this film? And why was he given so little to do? And then you're like, now.
And who's the least likely suspect?
So
from the beginning, anyway.
Yeah. So I found myself really liking the final act, and we get introduced to all these characters, and even even some of them small characters, like the guy that rides the bike that brings all the food, right?
Yeah.
You like him, and you like the guy that owns the shop where she's getting her car worked on and washed, right? So it's just, I don't know. I was like, this is actually really strong, and I think I'm going to have a hard time defending it, but I like it, and this was the first time I ever seen it, obviously,
and that's okay.
And that's okay. Man. So there's a lot to go over and not much to say about it all. I don't know where to go with this other than the fact, like you mentioned, that Quentin Tarantino and Eli Roth, we're back in the late 90s, we're big fans of this and promoted it, probably caught on some stuff. You mentioned Alan Parker with his fuzz tone guitars in it. I don't know if many people would recognize the cast and everything from this, but there's some posters. Is that bottom one called Carnal Violence? Is that?
Yeah, and that some of the prints that you'll find will call it Carnal Violence, which
the Italian title translates to The Body Bear Traces Carnal Violence,
which is a line from the movie too.
Yeah, say that again because it kind of broke up a little bit.
The bodies bear traces of carnal violence.
Wow, that's a mouthful. That is a mouthful. Let's do the director. Director is Sergio Martino, right?
Sergio Martino, who not a lot of stuff, but a couple that are interesting. The Island of the Fishman, like I said, is one that I actually have a bit of fondness for, just because of what Roger Corman did to it. Well, I mean, the original is like a Jules Verne story, and the new cut is like a Jules Verne story with a bunch of humanoids from the deep spliced into it, which is and the biggest lie ever told in horror movie promotion. And I'm including The Beast with a Million Eyes, so that's a bold statement, but they just kept advertising, you will see a man turned inside out. They harped on that, a man turned inside out. At no point in the movie is a man turned inside out.
Nothing,
not at all. So people got upset about that. And you know, as I think Jeff and Chad pointed out, they should have said, if you want to see that, wait until Society comes out. Then you'll actually see a man turned inside out. Not in this movie.
But that was when it was called Screamers, right?
Screamers, yeah.
Island of the Fishman. I really like the Island of the Fishman cut. I was surprised by that.
So we'll do that sometime.
I have not seen Slave of the Cannibal God.
It's Cannibal Holocaust PG. I mean, he did a few other Giallo, All the Colors of the Dark. I haven't seen The Case of the Scorpion's Tail, but there's a few of these that are well mentioned. I think I will check them out.
The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward is ranked fairly decently, so I will check that out.
That's the one they had to change the name. It's Ward with an H at the end because apparently there was a real Mrs. Ward who thought they made the movie about her, which is really telling on yourself. You know, I mean, if they make a movie about a guy named Mulligan who keeps bodies in the basement, I'm not going to raise a fuss and have people say, why would you think it's not? I mean, they had to call him something. It's like, well, why'd they pick on me? Like, you know. And then they're going to check my basement. Let's not go there. I thought he did a good job. In the film. Yeah. He didn't go on to become a huge name in Italian genre stuff. I guess because he didn't really focus on horror the way Bava and Argento did. Might have been interesting to see if he had.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. I thought it was really well directed. I think the only flaw is that it's so packed in the first hour introducing everything that it kind of loses itself.
And give credit. This movie is about a bunch of models, and one of the problems I have with a lot of movies that have models and everything is the people that are shooting them don't know how to really shoot models well. So we just see it's just like we're standing watching people do this. He really shot these women well. He and the cinematographer, who also did a mess of stuff, not all of it all that distinguished, really shot this like they were shooting a model shoot, for a magazine called Serial Killer Monthly or something. And I like the way they looked. They were well lit. I have a lot of respect for technical soundness in these films. They know they're making schlock. You're making a movie called Torso, for God's sakes. This is not going to be up for an Academy Award.
No.
But that's no reason to half-ass it. And no, they shot a really good-looking film with good-looking women. You got good-looking women, make them look good-looking.
They do a good job of that.
Yeah.
The film also has a sense of humor, I thought, or maybe it was unintentional, but like all the guys in here are pigs.
Oh God, yes.
They're all
Italy is made up of exactly two kinds of people: hot women and nasty, gross-looking men.
Nasty, gross looking.
Cards and letters directed to
you. Hold on. No, watch the scene. Watch the scene where they're in that little circle thing that Doc was wondering how they get run over, and all these guys just come over and they're leering at these women, and just like, oh God, I'm kind of embarrassed for my gender right now. I mean, these guys are not smooth.
It gets even worse when they go to the little town. It gets even worse.
Right.
Oh my God. When they're all sitting on the tractor.
Yes.
And the whole town is basically standing around.
Yeah, just
leering at him.
Leering at him. And then that creepy guy who looks like Ron Jeremy's less attractive brother shows up with the food, and they're just like he's never seen a woman before.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I don't know. Yeah. It's he just did a casting call for the grossest looking guys he could find.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of movie. It's that kind of movie.
It is that kind of. I mean, the vendor, when the girl comes over, he purposely goes down and starts unpacking the box that's on the floor. So
and he's like,
yeah. I liked her response though. She was badass.
Yeah.
She was badass.
Yeah.
I wanted her to make it longer in the movie.
The gas station guy was a nice guy.
The gas.
He was a nice guy. I'll drive you up there. It's a long walk. He doesn't even try anything. What a great guy. All right, so I guess we should talk about John Richardson is the one person we know because of
those two movies right there, Black Sunday and 1 Million Years BC. Which, I mean, 1 Million Years BC, good physical presence, not a lot of lines.
Does anybody have a lot of lines?
But he's a good actor, very intense eyes.
Yeah.
And not given a whole lot to do here. I mean, come on, the motivation is dumb, as they often are in these movies. Whenever you find, it's always something bad happened when you were a kid. Mom killed dad right in front of your eyes, and she dressed you up, and now 20 years later you dress up like a woman, go around killing people. It happens. And this one, kind of creepy, little kids, dolls.
Another great example of a dummy being thrown off a cliff.
Oh, that looked great.
Oh man, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, then the twin dummy went into the pond, into the well.
Yeah. Probably the same dummy.
Well, first, right?
Yeah.
Kid's like, I'm gonna reach for this doll. I'm gonna reach for the doll. Next thing you see, he like leaps off, jumps off into nowhere.
But he's only 5 feet away. He only fell like 5 feet. But the dummy falls like 100 feet.
Yeah, and so he blames women for the rest of his life.
Well, who wouldn't?
Yeah, well.
Who wouldn't?
And wants to poke their eyes out when he thinks of it.
Yeah. So we got dolls. We needed a few mannequins. Mannequins would have completed this thing. But it's I mean, that is an awful Giallo-esque kind of thing there. We got the mask, we got the gloves prominent, some point of view shots, the knife, the blood.
Pretty big spoiler image right in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's not a whole lot. Well, what's interesting is there's not a whole lot on this film, right? It really isn't written about much. But I don't know. I think it's,
and I don't know why, because it's not like it was a lost film. Because, like I said, I remember seeing it in video stores all the time. But
I mean, I'm just really discovering the Giallo genre here in the past. Like I said, in the past 5-10 years. What was it like then? I mean, obviously they made a lot of them, so it must have been popular.
They were very popular. They would be the second feature in a triple feature at the drive-in, but they never got played on TV because, let's take the boobs and the blood out of this. What's left?
Right.
There's not a whole lot of narrative to play with. So yeah, I don't remember any of these ever playing on TV. Deep Red or any. I mean, I heard about them.
I only saw these movies from gray market VHS tapes and stuff like that. It's the only way I was ever able to see these movies. So I borrow them from friends.
Right.
A copy of a copy.
Copy of a copy, and it would look horrible. Yeah.
You see Deep Red in a washed out, grainy dupe, and you're thinking, okay, it's stylish, but I don't really see what the fuss is. And then you finally get your hands on a good copy, and then your eyes are kind of blown away. Kids today don't know what it was like having to trade tapes with people and thinking that all these movies look like crap, and then finding out no, they were actually shot with a lot of skill and care.
It wasn't until I saw Suspiria, a good copy of Suspiria, that I fell in love with that movie.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Because for years I just washed out 5th generation VHS copies of it.
And then you're left with the strong narrative story and acting. Yeah. These movies, I mean, it's easy to say they're all style, no substance. There might be some truth to that, but if there's enough style, that's good enough for me. Not everything has to score a 10 on every aspect of filmmaking.
Right. If that's what it's going to be, it's got to be good in that aspect of it. So, and Suspiria is a good example. That's what got me. I don't like Giallo, but Argento's films have that style to them that I love that style. I don't necessarily think the movies are all are super movie or story wise that great, but the style,
The style is great.
You gotta love them. Yeah.
So if you're gonna have to watch it in a version that steals that quality away from it, it's better not to watch it. I did not have a very high opinion of Lucio Fulci, because the versions of his films that I saw were kind of slimy and dirty, and that's the kind of the vibe I got from the films. And then now that they're being released on DVD and you're seeing he can hold his head high in the company of people like Argento and Bava. He had a real style and some good stuff. He's not my favorite of the three, but he deserves to be talked with him. So I mean, I think this is one of the advantages of people today that we have today, is that everything's available. Virtually everything is available, and not just available, but also available in versions that might be better than folks actually saw on the screen. Back when they were first released.
Apparently, this one was cut in the English language, and that for a while the DVDs that came out, if they were uncut, had spliced in sections that had Italian language on them with English subtitles. But apparently, that's not true anymore. And there has been a couple of Blu-rays that come out. I think Blue Underground, and I forget who else did the other one. Was it Arrow?
I saw the Kino version. It looked pretty uncut to me, but I can't imagine what they cut out. They certainly didn't cut out breasts and blood. So
no. Now I didn't see a dubbed version. I saw only, where you had,
subtitles.
Subtitles. Yeah. I mean, did you guys see a dubbed version?
I saw dubbed.
Okay.
I saw subtitles.
Because there was a while that they didn't have the dub for this, so that the dub versions got lost. I guess they got found.
Yeah.
But I mean, we really gotta thank like all these these people that are restoring all these copies. Blu-ray, like, was it Shock and Arrow
does a great job,
and they're doing a fantastic job, because really to see these now is brilliant. I mean, you look at these now, like you said, what's the Bava one?
Bay of Blood.
Bay of Blood.
Yeah.
When you see, and I've seen that one, I just couldn't remember the title. When you see them, you realize that, and I don't know, you guys may disagree with me, but the slashers are just Americanized Giallo films based on right.
Yeah.
And they lost a lot of the style in the transfer. They kind of missed the point, I think. They brought over the non-story and left all the cool stuff behind that made
Well, the American versions became all about the kill gags.
Yeah.
I mean,
these were too, if you look at it, but
but there's a style to the Giallos that, like you said, the American slasher film doesn't have, where the American slasher films are all became about who's doing the special effects, who's doing the gags, that's what they became about. And to me, anyway, I was always wondering if a new slasher was coming out, I wanted to know immediately who was doing the special effects.
I did too. Yeah.
Right.
I didn't really care all that much about, is it going to look good? I didn't care about that,
And the effects in this one they're serviceable, but they're nothing to write home about. They're smart enough to do editing when they need to. Like when the guy gets his head smashed, if you freeze frame it, it's not the most realistic fake head that's ever been made.
But it's not.
It's shot so well that you don't know, And that's the trick. I mean, some trauma movies, they literally run over a melon filled with blood, and you do it fast.
But then when the vehicle backs away finally, and he kind of rolls out, he looks like it's his normal head, just with some blood on it.
Yeah. Which given some of the smashes that the fake head had, he shouldn't look like that. But
it shouldn't even have a head.
But again, this was a time. These movies are made at a time when you didn't have the opportunity to roll back. You're watching this in the movie theater, and if you blink, you actually miss that fake head getting splattered against the wall. So it's almost a subliminal. Oh my God, what did I just see? This guy's messed up, and that's the purpose of it.
Most people want like this anyway. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Most people cover their eyes.
Not us. We're just eating popcorn.
No, we're like, oh God, no, look at that. Well, I mean. The dismemberments in this film, I thought were done really well, because we don't actually see them but yet they're on screen, right? They're not like they're off screen. They're just like right behind the door or right behind a chair, and you see
very fast cuts where you see the arm, the hand being lifted. Yeah. Very fast. It's done superbly, I thought. I mean, it's done very well.
And the main horror is that this poor woman is watching this. She's, having to witness her friends being dismembered and can't react because if she reacts, it'll give it away, and then she'll be the next one killed. So they play up the horror really well there. The point of it is not the dismemberment; it's the horror that this character that we've been following is now undergoing.
The cat and mouse game between Jane and the killer is the part where I thought the cinematography or the shot selection and the angles and all that stuff were just stellar at what you could see and what you couldn't see, and the sounds of the sawing, right? Not quite being able to see
really
it.
Good, The soundtrack's really good. I really appreciated that as well. I liked the when she's trapped in the room and she hears the footsteps and she trips over the chair and the killer makes a movement to know that you realize because you never see the killer in full shot or her face, right? Until the reveal. But I thought it actually had a scare too. And because most of it's just like, ooh, but there's a time when a victim comes out from behind a door and grabs one of the girls. And I thought that was a really good jump scare that was done.
I thought that she, and I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head, Suzy Kendall,
Jane,
when she's in when she's in the room, and she's listening to him, and she's I don't know if that's what you call bated breath. She seemed really scared to me, where a lot of times in scenes like that, the actor seems to me like they're acting scared, like they're trying to. She just I thought that was excellent.
Yeah, I thought she was a good lead.
And I didn't think she was the lead for the longest.
She's not the lead we thought we were going to get, but she's the lead. She ends up being the lead.
These are not the leads you're looking for.
I mean, I liked most of the girls. I mean, I thought Tina, who plays Dani, I thought she was really good because she leads the film for quite a while.
Yeah,
and she's different than the rest of the girls, right? And I like the way she was approached. Of course, she's the one that has the stalker, and that guy was nuts.
Yeah.
And then we have the doctor. Could the doctor be it? The doctor makes sense. He's got a knife, right?
Yeah.
He was too handsome.
Could it be the skeezy uncle?
I don't know. Oh, that skeezy uncle. I was almost convinced it was him until he was too fat.
Well, it was a pretty good. It ended up being a pretty good whodunit,
Yeah. Fair. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those where it could have been any of those people. I don't particularly like mysteries where there's no real skill in figuring out the killer because it's so everyone has a motive and it could be anyone and they just reached into a hat and picked one out. So it is who it is, and there's no patting yourself on the back for having figured it out other than looking at the cast and saying him.
I thought the final battle, the fight between our killer and of course this is back in the time when the Scream Queen couldn't win on her own. She had to have a guy come save her. That didn't change until Halloween, right?
And he's been putting on some high karate aftershave because they're kicking in Hakiba, doing the Captain Kirk.
Oh, man.
Don't ever do this in a fight, please. Don't do this and then hit someone. Yeah. It only works if you're Captain Kirk and you're fighting a Gorn. In real life, it just hurts your fingers and you lose the fight.
It hurts your fingers and that music starts. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that starts.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty well choreographed, and I thought the cinematography and the lighting was really good. I was never lost. Right? It was
right.
You knew what was happening. You knew, and it was tense. The weapons were exchanged. Weapons were found because they're in a barn, so there's plenty of
that's true.
dangerous objects. So for me it worked, and I like the knife always being kind of there. So there was
And it has an ending, which is something no American film would do. If this had been an American slasher film, of course, it would have ended with, and he's back, or, his hand twitches.
They looked and he was gone.
Yes.
I thought it was nice how they had that opening scene that you couldn't really tell what was going on. It just seemed like a little thing at the beginning with the two girls and the guy.
The Skinamax?
Kind of, yeah. And then later on, that gets explained and we understand what's going on.
It was strange to see all that soft
they're
focus.
Blackmailing him. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That is it. Yeah. It was strange that it's so soft focused. Like, oh, this is going to be one of those demure little suggestive films. No. Well, then we're just knee deep in boobs. But yeah, it's so. And the first kill will remind me kind of the one from Maniac. The couple in the car, and if you're in a car and there's some creepy guy sneaking around outside, do not leave your car to go investigate. What are you, stupid? And if this happens and you're a woman and your boyfriend goes off to investigate and he doesn't come back,
leave him there.
Slide over to the driver's seat, turn the key, drive away, don't look back.
Yeah, leave him there.
Yeah, leave him there. Don't get out of the car. Oh, God, no.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one.
Yes. Important safety tip, ladies.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this one up and give our final thoughts, our recommendation.
What? There's so much more to say.
Is there really?
No.
And do we want to pick a favorite scene? There's enough scenes to pick a favorite scene, is there?
Yeah, sure. Mine was the head crush with the car. No doubt about it.
All right, Chad, you're going first.
Yeah,
you can get the.
Take it
all right, go ahead.
No, it was. That was. I just thought, in a sea of a movie that I didn't really care for all that much, except for the last half hour. That was that was an outstanding kill. I thought. Yeah, it would look fake as hell, but it was. I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool for that movie. It's not your usual Giallo kill. I'll say that. But yeah, it's. I can't say that I hate this movie. Saying that the first hour was a slog to get through. There was so much build up and everything like that. I still can't say that I hate it. I just. It was an interesting film. It was an interesting film. And I'm surprised that I had waited so long to see the whole thing, at one time. But if you're a fan of Giallo and you're a fan of slashers and stuff like that, yeah, this is right up your alley. And if you're a fan of boobs,
wow,
that could be anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't say that I hate it. So it's sort of I'm on the fence about recommending it. I would say if you, like I said, you're a fan, go ahead and watch it. I don't know if I would ever watch it again,
Okay.
But if that's a fair assessment.
I think it is fair. Okay. Jeff, what about you, sir? Wrap it up.
Well, I wanted to make a comment about this screenwriter because we kind of gloss over those sometimes. Ernesto Gastaldi, and I was looking at his credits, and he wrote the screenplay for My Name Is Nobody.
Oh, I like those films.
Yeah, the film with Terrence Hill, Henry Fonda. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he also did a couple of these other ones. Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. He had a lot of these titles, but that's another Sergio Martino, I believe.
Okay.
Death Walks on High Heels and The Whip and the Body. He was had a hand in that too, of a film. So it's got a long list of screenwriting credits.
It's got an incredibly long list.
Yeah, I said the first hour was rather pedestrian, and I thought it was. By pedestrian, I mean there was nothing really new or exciting. They're kind of laying out all the characters, and we're getting the first few kills, and none of that really grabbed me. But when we get to that villa, then it really kind of takes off. I think that by itself probably makes it worth the watch. And favorite scene, I'm going with the saw.
Oh, nice.
When I heard the saw noise, I think it's one of those things that's almost more grisly just hearing that. And she knew it was her friends. Anyway, yeah. I think I'm going to check out a couple of his other films that are fairly highly rated. Just to see what else is out there.
Yeah, we might have to put a couple of them on the list. Yeah. I mean, because you got to think that most people are hiding their eyes. Most of the girls are still hearing that. Noise, right?
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah, you can't hide from that. You know.
No. All right, Bill, sir. What's your?
And again, this is 1973, so it's pretty early in the whole gore cycle and everything. So yeah, I think this is better than it's given credit for. I had a good time watching it. I might watch it again now that I know what to expect. Make sure you're watching a good print. That's probably true for pretty much all these Italian films. I guess favorite scene, I do like the shot, the ladies in the villa when there's a knock on the door and they open it up and there's the guy and you think, oh, is he the killer? It's like, nah, he's been killed. So boom, and then things go, and then we just cut to she's waking up, everything's quiet, she's just somehow slept through the slaughter of her friends, and the movie takes a turn for the better. So yeah, that's some good stuff.
Well, she was on medicine. She did give her some sleeping pills.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
So so for me, same thing. This except for I think I liked it a little bit better. I was expecting to hate this movie. I was not. I was prepared.
Thanks, Bill.
I was prepared to poo-poo all over this thing, and the first 20 minutes, I was okay. Yeah, I'm going to be poo-poo on all of this. I don't even know what the hell's going on. But then it starts coming. The characters start taking shape, and some of them are shapely. So and you start getting, you start getting into the groove. It gets into that Giallo feel. And like you said, by the third act, it's really knocking a home run there. And the scene that you're talking about, Bill, is exactly the moment that I said, I think I love this movie because it just pulled a great trick. And I didn't see that coming. And I really like the effort, right? I really like what they did.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was pulled off 100% well, but I love what they did. I really do love what they did. And it worked for me, and I would recommend if you have any inkling in watching old 70s films and you're curious about Giallo films and you haven't seen this, I would recommend catching it. It is well shot. Be prepared. It's weird at the beginning. It's like your typical Italian films. Like I have no idea where the story's going.
Yeah. But
it starts taking shape, and when it does, it pays off. You guys took every one of my favorite scenes. But I still have one more. And I'm going to have to say when she's in the room, locked in the room, and he's coming to the room, and then she goes and she takes everything that she has and puts it in that little storage, those little old timey closet things, chest of drawer things, but it's all closet. And just shoves everything in there, and puts the bed back like nobody had been sleeping in it. I mean, she used her noggin, right? She was smart. But it was so I appreciated all that. I appreciated it being tense, and then she realizes that her shoes are on the steps, and she can't do anything about it. And it just you felt it. It was palpable, and even more so, there's the part with the key, right? Because the key's in the door and she's locked in, and she puts it's the trick that we've seen 100 times now.
Yeah.
And I love what they did with it. There's a little bit of a twist with how they did with it, and I thought that was so smart. And
that was like a double crusher. First you think, oh no. And then you go, oh no.
And then reveal. I just think that they stumbled onto something, whether they knew it or not, whether it was planned. They stumbled on something, and it worked really well. So, who knew Torso?
Who knew?
Who knew?
Well, except for Booby McSoftborn, he knew it wasn't.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. There's a review of Torso. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. there's comments you can leave down below. If you are still listening, we want to thank you for hanging out with us. And there's a way you can
Absolutely.
help us out. Easy way to help us out is to hit the subscribe button or share with a friend. They're both free and they both do us wonders, and we thank you so much. If you want to get a little more involved, you can hit the like, dislike, and hit the bell so you can get reminded, and of course leave comments. Quickly, we want to thank our patrons. Without their support, we wouldn't be able to do not only the Decades of Horror podcast, the Horror News Radio, Heroes and Droids, and Gruesome Magazine. I put out a post today where H&R is basically 8 years old. We're starting our 9th year this month, right, basically not necessarily today, but right about this time, 8 years ago.
8 years.
And it's been an incredible journey, and it's and it wouldn't I wouldn't be able to do it without, of course, my co-host, and we've grown quite a family of co-hosts, but also the patrons and fans, from which we have some comments, and I think Jeff Mohr is going to share some of those with us now.
So I actually figured out how to check out the YouTube comments a little more efficiently. So I'm going back a little bit to episode 128, Sisters, and Renee St. Aubin says, and you guys might have to remind us because I don't remember all these comments, but she says, so good as always. I'm still crying at, quote, loose pain.
I remember loose pain.
I don't remember loose pain.
I do, but I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember it was funny, and I was laughing.
Yeah.
And the surviving Olsen triplet.
That sounds like something I would say, but I can't for the life of me remember the context.
Oh, no, we'll have to go back and listen to our own podcast.
Really.
And then Renee says, Merry Christmas, guys. So that was very nice of you. I know we're way late on that, but hope you had a good Christmas too. Then the next episode, 129, Grave of the Vampire, she pipes in again. Renee St. Aubin says, I love Bill. This movie is terrible. I shall remake it.
Those are the movies that should be remade.
I would love for you to remake this one.
Me too.
She goes on to say, you have to admire someone that can see a dilapidated building and still see the good bones.
Well, look at me. I mean, come on.
So anyway, that's a great comment. I remember that.
I love that comment. I'm putting that on the wall.
And then Scott Darby says, I thought I'd never seen this one. Then I remembered the guy being killed by the coffin lid, and now I think I must have seen this on the late night horror show. Yeah. I didn't remember anything else about it.
that was a standout.
Thanks, Scott. You're absolutely right. Sorry for being so late on this. Then we had a bunch for episode 132, Asylum of Satan, which was William Girdler's first film. And Ralph Miller, who has co-hosted a couple of few shows with us.
Awesome makeup dude in his own way.
Yes. Check him out on Ralph Miller. The
Asylum of Satan could have used Ralph Miller.
IMDb, So Ralph says, as I recall, due to his religious upbringing, the Black Saint, whose podcasting voice I truly miss, as do we, was not at all a fan of satanic horror films. But perhaps he would have been okay with such a film if it is ludicrous enough. And from the looks of it, this one just might have hit that sweet spot for him. Rest in peace, my Black Saint brother.
He might have liked this one. Or he might have.
He was a big
William Girdler.
So.
He might have liked this one.
So then Ralph came back after he watched the film. Just watched it. Not the most accomplished piece of cinema.
What?
Ralph is such a nice guy. He's
master of the understatement.
But you got to start somewhere. Given the overall state of this production, I think The Ridiculous Demon was quite fitting. It added to my enjoyment of the film, at any rate.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
Appreciate it, Ralph. Thanks,
Ralph.
Thanks for listening. And, so 134, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. Dallas Nostromo.
Dallas.
I love listening to these guys, but don't tell them I said so because it'll go straight to their heads.
Your secret's safe with us.
Yes.
Well, he knows us. He knows us well, doesn't he?
Yeah, we're not gonna tell anyone.
And you need to check out Dallas's
He's
blog.
got a cool blog. Yeah.
He does. He does reviews kaiju films. He's working his way like through everything, including animated stuff. So very cool.
That's going to take.
And if I had my act together, I'd remember the name of it.
Dang it.
Oh,
have to.
Yeah, it's called baddadjokes.com.
No.
No, it's
It's not. I thought that was it. It's not. Okay.
It's not. Talk amongst yourselves, and I'll find it quickly.
Well, I just saw the film we're doing next episode, and I was not expecting that one. This is an Aussie fave.
Oh yeah,
Patrick from 1978. Chad, why pick Patrick?
Did I pick Patrick? I've never seen it, and I don't know. I've just heard good things about it, so having never seen it before, I figured it's
super influential. By the way, the name of the blog is "We're All Going to Die, So You Might As Well Run Screaming." He apparently also was a guy who made titles for Italian films, because that's a long name.
That's a great title for.
That is a great title.
Is.
We're all going to die, so you might as well run screaming. That's actually a good title for it. Hey Dallas, let's talk.
Write a script.
Patrick is one of the most influential horror movies ever made, and no one in America knows about it because it didn't really do anything here, but they loved it everywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's got a ton of unofficial sequels, which only happens when you're a big hit everywhere in the world except America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sequel was just maybe a few years ago, or a remake.
Well, the remake.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty good. I remember catching this somehow back in the early 80s, so this is going to be a fun one to talk about.
I think I probably saw it about the same time on HBO or something.
It felt like HBO or something like that. So it would be interesting. I'm like I said, I'm surprised, and I don't think I've seen it since then, so this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. That's our episode for tonight. Torso 1973. I'd love to hear down below how many people go and watch this movie or have seen it. If you've seen it, you don't have to watch it again. But I
recommend more Giallo films for Chad.
Yeah,
we'll convert him.
We should do more. I'm really serious about that.
Well, if it's a choice between more Giallo or more Paul Naschy films,
I want to do more of those too, because there's better than the ones
there are. Yeah, we can't leave it at Fury.
Yeah, there's better Paul Naschy films.
I mean, Dr. Jacob versus the Werewolf just dropped.
I keep checking
or something, and I'm like, we got to do that.
Hard to find a decent copy streaming.
I don't think
although there are box sets out in Blu-ray, but
some of these films there wasn't a decent copy the day it was released, so you're not going to find anything better.
It's a unique thing.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, Bill, Booby, I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Awesome as always.
Thanks for having us on, Doc.
All right, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Go to Shudder.
Come on, Jeff.
Good night.